The following is the cold opening for this episode.
You forgot.
No, I didn't forget.
Okay.
I just like that we start with hello, listening people.
Yes.
This is the cold opening. Another film put on the internet. It's like putting LSD in the sangria.
Thank you. He remembered, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
Hello, Bartek. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm feeling very strong. I feel like I've got the right genes to make it in this world.
Well, like tracksuit pants. But...
Bartek, let's not even talk about genes, the pants. We're talking about genetics.
Oh.
We don't want to get cancelled like Sydney Sweeney did for saying she had the correct genes. I don't know if you're aware of this. It's such a bizarre celebrity controversy. But Sydney Sweeney, do you know of this woman?
Oh, was this like, I don't know who she is, but was this like a Super Bowl ad or something?
I don't know if it was, I think it was just an ad. I don't know if it's Super Bowl specific, but Sydney Sweeney is like a big celebrity. You know, she's in Euphoria. She has big breasts. Like, that's a big part of her career. She has huge tits. And she appears in genuine things. I'm pretty sure she's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as one of the Manson girls, so something to take in. But she being blonde-haired, blue-eyed, did an ad for like jeans, like the type you wear, and the slogan for it was like, I'm Sydney Sweeney, and I have the correct genes. And people took it as like an Aryan race thing. And then it's just spun out into this whole thing. And
I think
so
I was...
so it's like, I've got the right genes. It's like loaded.
I think I was seeing a bunch of people online arguing between, like, you know, the message of the ad and people being like, whoa, a woman can't be beautiful.
Well, women can't be sexy in jeans now.
I think I also
Gosh darn it.
I think I also heard recently she's going to be in an upcoming Gundam.
Yeah, she's basically
film.
remaking 8th MS Team.
Oh, right. Yes, you've told me this.
I've told you this. Yeah. And Jason Isaacs is going to be in it as the villain, and I love Jason Isaacs. But we're not here to talk about potential Gundams yet. Maybe one day we'll do a Gundam on the show. You never know. Maybe one day Bartek's going to recommend a compilation movie where we watch the British dub.
We're going to watch part two of the Zeta compilation films.
Oh, I want British Bright from the first one. Where he slaps Amuro.
Get back in Gundam.
Okay, so to be real here, we are Spittin' Polish Presents Ryan and Bartek. We're both spitting young gentlemen. We're both Polish, and we're doing Pictures Powwow, in which we talk about a movie that has come recommended, whether it is from one of us hosts or you, the listening people. And in fact, it is a listening people suggestion. Bartek, who suggested the movie and what film is it?
It's a listening person that's come back and recommended us yet another film. We've got quite a few from this person. It is my stepbrother, Maciek.
It's no nepotism, huh?
You're the one who finalizes the decisions, so...
He's my stepbrother too.
Yeah, so it's nepotism on your part, surprisingly, even though you've never met him.
Maciek and I are bonded through our souls, because I don't know if we've told this story on the podcast before, but it's still one of my favorite things was...
When he called me.
One time, Bartek's father was visiting from Poland, and he was down here in Australia... And randomly, we were doing a podcast, and we were chatting afterwards. It was after we were chatting.
It was in this room. I was sitting right here.
And
context, he's my stepbrother from my mum's remarriage.
Yes, exactly. So even further distance to put there. And he was calling you up, and you didn't want to answer. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's important. And you were like, nah, it's fine, because Bartek's like that. And I went, well, what happens if he's like with your dad or something? And you just was, no, that can't be it. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. They know each other, but they don't really know each other.
I mean, they met like once or twice.
How would they meet? Like, what? How would that be the case? And in the end, I was right. He was hanging out with your dad.
Yeah, he was at some auction in the city for some reason.
And he was like, yeah, I'm hanging out with your dad when you phone you up to be like, hey, we're together. Do you want? I don't know if he wanted you to join. I don't know, but like,
I think he was just telling me about it.
So Maciek and I are joined soul-wise because we both recognize that when your dad's in town, they could be in the same room.
Yeah, he once made a phone call to the room we are in right now, which is
think about that
the place you live in. So it's the connection.
It's a very dystopic idea what you're putting down. Very much like the film that was recommended
by Maciek himself. Yes, he recommended us the film Gattaca.
from 1997, correct,
I
Gattaca?
think so.
1997's Gattaca.
Getting my
Yeah,
phone. Yes, it
if you
is.
yes, starring Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, Alan Arkin is in the house. He shows up in this movie, and of course Jude Law is in Gattaca, as well as a whole cavalcade of just it's that person. Oh, it's this person. Gore Vidal is here. Oh, okay. Tony Shalhoub, Monk himself shows up in a brief section of this movie. Why not? But Gattaca is the film that we are watching today, and if you have not seen the film Gattaca, here's how I would present it to you. It's in the near future, not so distant future, humanity is obsessed with genetics, genetic perfection. It's a real eugenicist dream world, and there's a subclass of people, the normal people, the people who don't have any genetic modifications and so on. And there's a subclass, and we're following one of those people who's managed to find their way into an echelon of power, and will they be able to keep it? That's the general thrust. Go watch it for yourself. Interesting movie. Very interesting. And to get right into the meat of the matter, I had never seen this before. I've always had this as a blind spot in my science fiction filmography. There's some films that you miss out on, and I must admit, for some reason, I am shocked that this is one of them, because relatively, we grew up with this movie. This came out in a time where most of the science fiction things I have seen. It's not like we're watching a 1950s sci-fi movie where I'm like, I've seen a few, but not all of them. I've seen Forbidden Planet, but I haven't seen this. Yeah, Gattaca's just been one of those ones that's been on the watch list. People speak very highly of it. And the thing that I knew about it a lot more so was your history with the film. So if you want to kind of talk about like how you have a connection with Gattaca.
Yeah, my history. And also, I think you were saying like other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a film that I studied in year 10 English way back in 2009. I hadn't heard of it at that point, but it's like, hey, we're doing this and we're going to study it. And it seems like that's a very common thing, at least here in the state of Victoria. Because I've talked to other people. I think even Maciek's history is kind of the same thing, where he studied it in school. And looking at the film now, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's got a very clear set of themes that it explores very thoroughly. And yeah, I remember a big thing that we talked about is like, this is a representation of the idea of a dystopia. There's a bunch of things that you can glean from this and, write essays about.
It is very much made for that. And that's what I knew about it was, this was a text that people had to study down here. There's certain pieces of art, literature especially, it is made. Nowadays, people just know, The Great Gatsby is a text that you study, or Shakespeare is not stuff that... There are some pieces of media that unfortunately don't get to exist for many people as just a thing to enjoy, a piece of art to consume. They are things to be broken down, analyzed. I had that with Blade Runner, for instance. I have a very tenuous relationship with Blade Runner because I first encountered it as something you had to break down and study and go through meticulously with a fine-tooth comb. And it's like, yeah, that movie's good for that, but also I didn't get to watch it as its own thing. And that happens with many people with books, plays, movies, TV shows, whatever the case may be. When you have to go through high school or university, I know one of our friends has never given No Country for Old Men a watch because they had to watch parts of it out of order in university. And so they've never wanted to go back and watch it. And I'm like, it's such a shame. It's a great movie.
Yeah, the real cut.
But yeah, Gattaca is that for you in a way, and for I guess many people in our state of Victoria of like, they had to study it, they had to watch it, and you didn't get to watch it just for your own sake.
Yeah, I think that description's kind of overselling it. I would say that more so with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where I watched that like multiple times the year that I studied it, which was 2 years after this one. Whereas this one, we just watched it the one time, and then the teacher analyzed it for us, we made the notes, and then we structured that into an essay. So it's not necessarily that I fully remember how this film went. It's just like, yeah, I studied that at one point.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I remember enjoying it.
And how was it to revisit after all of this time?
Yeah, it was a decent watch. I can definitely see, why people would pick this as like an easy film to like teach and analyze. It has a lot of telling. There's showing and telling, but it's very heavy on the telling. It has a lot of visual stuff as well, though. You get all these scenes of like intricate, DNA strands. The lengths that you'll have to go to hide these things. There's a lot of allegory in this film for, like racial discrimination or other types of discrimination.
Yeah.
I was thinking again to one of the lines from that film that we did towards the end of last year, Anatomy of a Murder,
Mm.
where in the court there was a courtroom scene where they said like, oh, the jury, we need to strike this from the record. You can't consider that in your deliberation. The character whispers and like, how are they gonna do that? And then the lawyer's like, they can't. It's like, a lot of the bad stuff that happened in this film is actually illegal in the world of this film, but it's just allowed to happen.
It's allowed to take place. This is also a returning writer for us. Andrew Niccol wrote The Truman Show.
Oh.
And this is then...
It's around the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, year before, I'm pretty sure. But then he went on to do this and direct this as well. So that's also something of note. And you can definitely tell that sensibility is there because it's a very unique sci-fi premise, but one that's also relatable. I'm a mixed bag experience on this personally. There's things that I
had a feeling it would be the case.
There's things that I like and things that I'm just left lacking, is how I would describe. Like, it's just like, yeah. Like, I know subtext exists. Do you? like, there was a moment where I was like, I'm really enjoying this. Jude Law, what a charming fellow he is. I love that Jude Law. And then...
This was my introduction to Jude Law, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This was the introduction to Jude Law. What a great introduction. So Jude Law is being charming and handsome, and he's a multifaceted character. And then he's just like, by the way, my middle name is Eugene. I want to be called Eugene now. And I put my hands over my face, and I just went, like eugenics. And I just sighed. I went, or like jeans. And then near the end of the movie, again, people watch this for yourself, he has to crawl up some stairs, these very prominent stairs. And I just sighed and went, do you want to finish this up?
They're like spirally, like a DNA.
Like a helix.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Now I get it.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of that frustration in which you said it, there's a lot of telling, and not only just through voiceover and direct monologuing, but there's telling in that way too, in which I kind of described this a little bit when we were doing Anomalisa with Charlie Kaufman, in which you have a really smart person and they're writing a really clever script with really smart things in there, but it's done to such a cutesy degree that it kind of undercuts anything because the ambiguity and the artistic expression is no longer blurred, but it's just so blunt force and direct that it kind of takes the teeth out of the subject. So when you have a character who's like, my name is this, and you're like, it's a symbolism, it's a piece of symbolism you're doing, right? Okay, great. But no, I enjoyed some aspects. I liked the actual filmmaking. I thought the color grading was really interesting. Different locations, different time periods had like really aggressive color palettes, and I really enjoyed it.
That beach is very yellow.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I really enjoyed some of that stuff. I thought Ethan Hawke gave a good performance as well. He was one where he won me over the course of the movie, but I did enjoy some aspects of this. So tell me a bit more about your feelings on the film and things that worked, didn't work.
I remember back in year 10, we were asked a question of like, outside of analyzing the film, like what were your thoughts on it? I remember my answer was that I liked most of it. I didn't really get much out of the Uma Thurman character and her plot.
Mm-hmm.
And watching it again now, I don't know how much I've changed my opinion there. I think I was more interested just in, the general stuff they were doing with our main character and his plot, rather than having to kind of shoehorn in a love story. But then again, watching it on this rewatch, I did like that it kind of tied in the element of, like, even though she is a valid, she has some imperfections that is even like causing discrimination against her.
Yes. And it's holding her back from being able to go to the stars in the way that he is able to, even though he's technically not. It's all discrimination, is all of these constructs that people put upon each other to restrict each other. And it's tough because I like Uma Thurman as an actress. The thing that's the most notable here is this is how her and Ethan Hawke met. They fell in love, got married, have had children together. They're no longer together. He cheated on her with the housemaid, so that's lovely. But that's kind of the thing about this movie, really, when it comes to either of them, is I don't think anyone truly is saying Gattaca is like their best movie, but it is a notable film in both of their filmographies because they met a romantic partner of worth of their life. So that is something about this movie. But Uma Thurman, I don't know. I was waiting for something with her. I was just constantly being like, okay, we're going to do something. And we get there when she meets Jude Law and how that whole scene plays out. That's where it's like, oh, finally, we're getting something. And then little did I know she would have like 2 scenes after that, and then she'd be gone from the movie. I'm like, oh, okay.
I think this was also my introduction to Uma Thurman, now that I think of it.
Really?
I think I saw Pulp Fiction maybe a year or 2 after I watched this.
Wow. And you've never seen Kill Bill. We know this.
I haven't seen Kill Bill. She's the main character in that, right?
Yeah, she's the one. Yeah, the bride. She needs to kill Bill. So Uma Thurman's romance stuff, it does feel very much scripty. We need to humanize our main character. We need to give him something that lets him make mistakes as well, because he's compromised, because he's got a girl that he's interested in. We need someone that he has banter back off of when he's at work, because he only has banter off someone, and it's only Jude Law otherwise.
Yeah, everyone else is either like like no dialogue, almost faceless characters. There's the boss, doctor, and her that he can talk to.
Yeah,
and I guess the janitor,
played by Academy Award winner Ernest Borgnine. That's the head janitor, and it's kind of like, why even bother casting him if you're not going to do anything with that character? I was waiting for like a payoff. I was waiting for him to acknowledge at the end that he knew he was Vincent the whole time, because they worked together.
I guess,
and he is a low down person, and they had that back and forth about, don't clean the I got to clean the glass just right so you can see me on the other side. I was waiting for that payoff, and it never comes.
Yeah, I guess the closest you get is there's a scene where Vincent's walking down the stairs. He walks by him and he's like, "Oh, I'll take that for you, Mr. Morrow." What was his last name?
Yeah,
Morrow. Whatever Jerome's last name was. And it's like, oh wow, remember when this character was like, had authority over this guy, and now he's like submissive because he thinks he's in front of a genetic superior.
It's okay. Like,
yeah,
that's fine.
It's a very small moment.
So the movie works. That's the thing. Like, it all fits together. It all does the things nicely. But it is such a wonderful thing of, when I was getting ready to watch this, my wife was adamant. She's like, I got to watch this too. And I went, oh, okay. And she hasn't seen it either. And I went, oh, great. And then she said to me, maybe I can come on the podcast and talk about it. I'm like, oh, really?
Oh, that would have been fun.
Well, why? And she's like, because my coworker from my previous school, it's his favorite movie of all time. And I'm like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah. And then we watched it, and then she's like, I don't want to talk. And she wasn't into the movie.
Okay.
And then she's like, I guess it makes sense because he loves it as a teacher. It's his favorite movie, and it's great for being a teacher. And I'm like, it really is designed, if you're a teacher, this is such a great text to be like, do you get what this film's doing with storytelling? It's very much a script writer is like giving you a showcase. And I think that's why his direction, although visually stylish, lacks because he is very much about, I've got to tell you the things, while someone like a Peter Weir, who did Truman Show, he's a filmmaker who's done abstract movies like Picnic at Hanging Rock. And he knows you can grab that really interesting science fiction story of the Truman Show, but also allow visual storytelling to take place. So there's so many complicated ideas in Truman Show that are simplified through visual storytelling. While in this movie, there's a lot of complicated ideas that remain nebulous because they're just said aloud. Before we started recording, we were making some jokes about the slurs of this movie, degenerates, and they say it maybe 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, once in narration, then one later on where a character's like, I know I'm just a degenerate.
And it's so awkward and it sounds so silly, even though it is silly to say. It never turns around to being genuinely effective because it never exists in the movie. It's clearly in the writer's head, this is the lore. Like, this is the lore. You put this down when you're writing an outline and you're writing a mind map of this world. Like, I've talked about this when we've done science fiction stuff before, of just like science fiction especially can get lost in the weeds of like the world. We've got to build the world. And so you get all these little jargon phrases that sometimes don't really mean anything. And this film is guilty of that, of just like degenerates. It's like a thing you think of and go, oh, that's interesting. And then I got included. I thought about it.
Yeah. But
degenerates.
But they've already got the term invalid and they use that a lot more.
Yeah.
And it works just fine. It sounds like a derogatory thing.
It does. There was one logistical thing that bugged me because they set it up and then they don't give you an answer. And I know this sounds childish, but I'm not being silly, okay? This is genuine.
Okay.
So our main character has to do all of these things to pass as the Jude Law character, because in this world they do all these tests. They collect your hair, they do your fingerprints and blood and your urine, and they do all these things. And he's working at Gattaca so he can launch off into space. This is Ethan Hawke's character's dream.
Mm-hmm.
And they have him pee. We see him do the pee tests. And we see from the very beginning, the first thing that we really see of him in the modern, like in the context, is like he straps like a urine patch to his thigh, so with like the little tube.
Yeah.
So he can fake the pee.
We start in media res, like he's already in the middle of it.
So then I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how he fakes the pee. Interesting. However, the doctor guy that does the tests actually looks at his penis when he does the peeing. And he comments, you have a great penis. Like, it's a funny scene.
Yeah.
But I said out loud, and my wife, she rolled her eyes, but by the end of the movie, I was screaming this, how did he fake peeing out of his penis with the fake pee? The guy's directly looking at the penis. See, they included that detail. So then I'm thinking logistically, how's he faking that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, yeah.
How did he fake that?
In my head, and again, I already said it there, I filled in the answer myself, the film didn't. In my head, I just imagined that he had a fake penis that the tube was inside of.
Right.
And so that's why, obviously, the fake penis has to be bigger than his real one, because if it was smaller, it wouldn't do anything.
I wish they showed us that.
But yeah, that's the thing, like, they can't show us a penis in this film.
Why not? They're cowards.
That's the answer. They were scared.
I did like the payoff of the penis gag, though, of just like, if you're actual left-handed, you would hold it with your left, not your right. That's just it's just one of those natural things. It's one of those things.
It's like, oh, how quickly did he catch on?
How quickly? I think from the first meeting, basically, because his first meeting was just to pee. That was the interview, was to pee. And submit the DNA. I think the guy
at the start of the film?
I think he knew from the very beginning.
Oh, I didn't think that was an interview. I thought it was just a test.
No, that was his interview.
Oh, okay.
Remember, Ethan Hawke was like, what about the interview? And the guy turns around and goes, that was the interview. Because they're all about the genetics.
Was that the first scene of the film?
No, not the very, like when we're getting the backstory of like when Tony Shalhoub gives him the identity of Jude Law and we're seeing him be like, "Oh, Jude Law, all of your pee is filled with alcohol. I need the real alcohol."
He was the one. That was the interview.
When we're seeing him go for the job initially, that doctor's the person who gives him the job, gives him the thumbs up, sees the pee, and I think he knows from the very beginning of the movie this guy's a fake, but he wants him to go through. For whatever, because of his son. He references that his son's an invalid or partially invalid.
He's like, have I ever told you about my son? Ethan Hawke like blows him off, and then at the end of the film, you get the payoff.
Yeah, he actually said it, and this was so brave of the director to do this, to let the actor do this. He actually said, have I told you about my son? And then he pauses and the Ethan Hawke blows off and goes, one day I will. And then he looked at the camera, and then he looked at us, and he winked, and he said, and you'll hear it in the third act.
The last scene, even.
And then Michael York from Austin Powers came in and reassured us not to worry about it too much, just have fun. And then he drank the piss. It was really good. No, I feel like I'm being very harsh on this movie. I think a part of it is I didn't have an emotional connection, and I didn't find it intellectually stimulating enough to be engaged on that pure sci-fi enjoyment either. Like, to me, as someone who's consumed a lot of sci-fi, this wasn't particularly like in depth or like out there. It was very novice to me, sci-fi terms. Like, yeah, okay. I was just nodding along, going, yeah, that's fine.
I feel like this would be, I would describe this as interesting before a lot of other things. And I know, interesting is usually a coded word for, not that great, but it was genuinely interesting.
So, how did you feel about our lead character / lead actor?
I liked Ethan Hawke's performance in this. I think he captured, and he better have because there was so much dialogue from him in narration and acting. The perspective of an invalid in this world, and an invalid who has an especially bad hand dealt to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you buy that all of the discrimination he's talking about is something that he's faced himself. And you have a bunch of lines here and there about, describing the values of the world that are pretty well written. Like there's one about I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, you don't just need the test, it also needs to come with the right blood tests.
Yeah, he was... Like, he's a great protagonist. He is sleazy, but you understand why.
Yeah. The world's not playing fair to him, so he feels that it's fair that he plays unfair as well.
It's a real talented Mr. Ripley affair with him and Jude Law, huh? Just these people living different lives and swapping things, and there's class commentary in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Ethan Hawke. His performance grew on me over the course of the movie. I've had a difficult relationship with Ethan Hawke as an actor. We actually had Ethan Hawke in a movie not too long ago in The Northman, where he was the king. In that movie, the one who dies at the very beginning. Yeah, Ethan Hawke. That was him.
I can't remember
barking
that
like
at all.
A dog.
Yeah, wow.
We talked about it a lot in that episode. We were like, oh, Ethan Hawke, like he's an A-grade actor, and he's like he's a bit of an artsy actor.
Completely forgot.
And he just blurs so beautifully into that movie. I was like, oh man, Ethan Hawke, he's, and here we are with a young Ethan Hawke. And I think I've had a lot of issues with Ethan Hawke in the first half of his career. I was looking at his filmography because I was looking through, like, when does he start to do projects, and specifically his performances where I like him? And basically Training Day onward is where it is, so not too long after this. But I found in the earlier parts of his career, and I did struggle with it in this movie, I feel him acting. I can see him acting. He's always... He's basically doing the blue steel to the camera so much in movies, not just this one, but in other movies of his. I hate him in a lot of movies. Like, he plays a lot of really aggravating characters, like Dead Poet Society. He's so pretentious, and that goes with Reality Bites. He plays characters that I'm supposed to be empathetic towards, but I inherently am not. And then I have on top of it, I feel like the theater kid actor is acting at me. And I did have that in the first chunk of this movie, especially when you pair him with Jude Law, who does so little in the beginning, but does so much. And then you have Ethan Hawke with, like, his puckering his lips at me, and he's swooning, giving me the swooning looks, and he's like doing the head bobble, and I'm like, okay, tone it down. But then I did appreciate that that's him perform, like his character is performing. He's trying to play Jude Law.
Also, when he's in the Jerome.
But that's how we meet him for the first little chunk. Like
in media res. Yeah.
Because when we have the younger versions, they're different actors and stuff as well. So I enjoyed, in retrospect, by the end of the movie, appreciating that was a performance from Vincent. And when we get to see him be more himself, when he starts to connect more with Uma Thurman's character, I liked his performance. I thought it was very layered in that way. And I think that's the best thing about Uma Thurman's character, is not so much her as a character or even her performance, but it's a way of letting Ethan Hawke show range with this specific role itself, letting us see that Vincent is still underneath the persona he's had to play for so long. And so I really did warm up to him. And by the end of it, I was rooting for him. I was like, hey, I hope you get out of this. And I really thought Ethan Hawke nailed just that. There's that little stretch of the movie where he's like, they've got me. And just his absolute surrender to fate, and just him like throwing his hands up in the air and being like, well, I better give up. I better flush the urine down the toilet. In other actors' hands, heck, even in Ethan Hawke's hands in his career earlier, that type of thing really pisses me off when a narrative does that. And even Jude Law's reaction is like, what the fuck are you doing? But I thought he played it to a T. I was like, this is great. Like, you've got the right tone for this. It never felt silly, but it had a right level of like, this is pathetic. You know it's pathetic that you're giving up like this. Like, as soon as trouble comes your way one time, you buckle. Come on.
I loved at the end of that when he finally relented to his giving up. Jude Law just like, hand me the thing. He just gives it to him.
Yeah.
Jude Law, angry little man. Well, not little, but
he's 4'6".
He does have that line, yes, in the wheelchair.
The amusing thing is him and Ethan Hawke in real life are both the same height.
Oh.
They're both 5'11". So there you go.
There you go, yeah.
While they claim that he's 6'1", Jude Law, in this, so that
and
Ethan Hawke has to get surgery on his legs.
And I think there was even a throwaway line about like, oh, you're not quite at the height, but close enough.
Didn't quite get it, but it's fine. Oh, I was waiting for the scars to get called out, and they did by Uma Thurman. Like, I was like, you don't want to give him eye surgery because of the scars, but you will give him leg surgery. But I guess no one's looking at his legs, and then Uma Thurman looks at his legs, and she's like, what happened here? And he has like a backstory for it.
Yeah.
He has a specific car model and everything.
Yeah, I looked right, but it came from the left.
Very silly. When it comes to these leads, we've talked about, so many of these actors in so many other roles. Uma Thurman, we've had her in a few movies we've done on the podcast, as well as we've seen her in stuff. Ethan Hawke, I'm less familiar with like your history with him. Like, have you seen him in much? And is he an actor that stands out? Evidently not for The Northman. You kind of forgot that was him.
I know he exists, but he's one that you'd have to tell me what he was in.
Yeah. He's been around. He's done a lot of stuff. I
think I once heard his name and I was like, oh, isn't that the main character from Mission Impossible or something?
No, that's Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was watching Team America with Maciek, literally, and I heard that name like, that's a Mission Impossible character. That's a weird joke to have in this film.
No.
He's not an actor, he's a character.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke in real life is very much like a, activist-y, I'm real doping with it. But then it's also like he's the guy that cheated on his wife with Maid. So he's a complicated guy, but he's also a real artist. Yeah, he's done a lot. He does a lot of genre stuff as well. This being a sci-fi, this won't be his last. I really enjoyed Predestination, a Australian time travel movie. So that's really good.
Okay.
Australian made, it's got a bunch of Australian actors. He's the lead actor who's the American, so it's good movie. Maybe one day we'll check it out. But
Was it Predestination?
Yeah, Predestination.
Okay.
Of course, it's time travel with that title. Then we have, of course, Jude Law. We've mentioned a bunch. He was the best part of the movie for me. Of course he was. I love Jude Law.
The thing I remembered the most, other than the themes.
I've never been let down by Jude Law. I don't think I've ever watched something where I went across my arms and go, Jude Law didn't do good with that. I always like the guy. He's always just got he is built to be like an old Hollywood leading man, but he's several decades too late for it. He has that insane hairline, but those piercing eyes, those high cheeks, and just that eloquent accent of his, where you could listen to him say anything.
I have never once forgotten the scene where he cusses out that officer.
Yeah.
Call me a fucking cripple, and he just follows him with his wheelchair.
Yeah, when he cusses out beloved character actor Dean Norris, who plays Hank in Breaking Bad and several other things. I was like, hey, he always plays cops. Dean Norris is built to be a cop and nothing else.
I think he called him a flatfoot.
Yeah, he called him a flatfoot. That is a thing.
You know what? Earlier you mentioned the thing about, like, you know, the subtext, like, oh, the stairs are a DNA thing. His name is Eugene. When I was reading up about this film, there was one that like threw me for a loop. But then when I read the truth, I'm like, oh, that was a thing. They called them Hoovers.
Oh, you didn't know that?
The Hoovers.
Oh, I
thing.
immediately knew.
I was like, oh, right, because FBI. That's just a funny name. Then I'm like, oh, vacuum cleaner Hoover, right?
Yep, and J. Edgar Hoover. It's both. It's a double.
Yeah.
It's a double. Very clever.
I missed the vacuum cleaner part.
Yeah, they had vacuums.
They did, yes.
It's
the big thing that our main character was worried about.
So I'm going to admit something very, very funny that happened during the watch.
Mm.
And my wife didn't know. And then the reveal was that it was a reveal later in the movie. So I recognized something early in the movie that is then supposed to be a reveal later in the movie, which is the identity of one of the lead detectives of this film is our lead character's brother that we see in the flashbacks, and we don't know what happened to him. And I recognized partway through the movie, and I felt like, oh, I even said to my wife, I said out loud, oh, I feel so silly. I think I was supposed to know that that's his brother. Oh, fuck. And then Rachel was like, oh, I didn't know that. And then both of us were like, I can't believe we missed this obvious thing in front of us. The film clearly is telling us it's his brother. And then in the third act, it's a reveal. It's his brother. And I'm like, oh, we weren't supposed to know. Oh, okay.
I think I had a vague memory of, like, wasn't his brother doing something in the second half of this film? And then, yeah, partway through the film, maybe around the same part you noticed, I was like, oh, was this guy his brother? Was that why I remembered him being bigger than he was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because while watching the film, I was getting a little bit confused with that character's dynamic with the other cop.
With Alan Arkin, yeah.
Yeah, because they both had moments of like, no, that's not the right thing. This is the right thing to do. And like they both had different times where they were right. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know which one was meant to be like the actual smart one.
I felt dumb too because in the first part, I didn't know that he was another detective, another Hoover. I thought he worked at Gattaca as like their liaison, but then I was like, oh no, because he kept making excuses to not do things. I was like, oh, is he like one of the flunkies at Gattaca? But then he's with Alan Arkin. I'm like, oh, he's partner.
Because they're wearing different like outfits. Yeah,
one of them, like Alan Arkin, looks like a proper 1930s detective, and then the other guy
he's wearing grey clothes like everyone else,
and a hat, and then the brother, he just looks like a normal guy. He just looks like he's like business casual.
Yeah, it's like black suit. I guess he kind of looks a bit like, I don't know, Cooper from Twin Peaks.
I don't know what to make of the brother. Could you tell me what is the deal with his brother and like why he's incorporated into this present day and like the resolution? Because I understand what they're doing, but I also just don't get it. I didn't find it satisfying, I guess.
I guess there is a point where, yeah, it starts getting confusing. So I guess the beginning of it is that, you know, it's Vincent's younger brother who's a valid. The parents had Vincent and, you know, they love him, but, you know, they feel like they let him down in a way, let themselves down, that we have a son who will probably die at 30. So they decide to have another kid, and this one's going to be like super, super genetically valid. Like everything's going well for him. Mm-hmm. And the relationship that you see with the kids growing up is that, like, you know, even though Vincent's the older brother, he looks younger, he looks weaker, he's
got glasses.
Inferior to his brother in so many different fields, and even his brother, as he gets older, like talks down to him. Mm-hmm. And they have this game that they play where they, you know, swim out and play chicken in the water, and then they come back and Vincent always loses. But then one time Vincent wins, and his brother, we stopped seeing him for a long time.
His brother almost drowns.
Yeah. But his brother, apparently this was a moment where, like, his reality like broke apart or something, and
He realized he wasn't as strong as he thought he was.
yeah, and it was the moment where Vincent got like a huge boost in self-esteem, and he
Mhm.
set out to do the thing. Um, all of that makes sense. But then the brother, yeah, we eventually reveal that this one of the lead detectives is chasing after this
Mhm.
invalid named Vincent, who turns out it's his brother because it's Anton, the younger brother. Um, and that's where I kind of get
Yeah, I
lost
want to
too.
question you. Does he know that it's Vincent from the very beginning? Because they make a deal that people can't tell people's faces and
Oh,
photographs.
and he's in the Jerome disguise.
Yeah, can he tell? Because he doesn't get to physically meet him until the very end of the movie. He keeps missing him, right? He keeps
Hmm.
missing Jerome. That's the big deal. Like, he doesn't get to meet Jerome until the end.
Hmm.
And then he's like, oh, it is you. But he keeps seeing the photographs. And it's like, because they do play dirty pool where the photograph of Jerome is photoshopped of both Jude Law and Ethan Hawke's face. It is a hybrid of both of their faces.
Hmm.
And then when it's the real, like in the invalid photo, it's just Ethan Hawke doing a goober face with glasses on. I don't know. Okay. But like, I was wondering, does he know from the very beginning, like from early on, that this guy is his brother? And then they go, "Oh, Vincent's DNA is checked in," and it's like, okay, but does he know? Does he know that Jerome is Vincent, or does he just think that Vincent is around? Because that's where the blurriness came in for me. Because I think it felt like it flicked between both worlds of like he's trying to track down Jerome because he knows it's Vincent, or he thinks that Vincent is somewhere here in this facility playing someone, but he doesn't
So
know
much,
who.
so much of him as the secret agent guy's scenes early on seem to indicate that it's just a hunch that, like, oh,
Mm.
the perpetrator, must be somewhere around this building. He doesn't necessarily, well, we don't get his dialogue because it's a reveal later on that this is Anton, but I didn't get the sense that, like, he was there because, like, oh, Vincent wanted to be here, so, he must be here.
Oh no, no. I just thought like with the case, he was like, oh, like the photograph and so on. And then but then we get the scene where they do the raid. We get the scene where they do the raid on that club and Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke narrowly escape and the brothers screaming out Vincent in the tone of voice that is very much like I'm wanting to connect with my familial brother.
Vincent. Yeah, yeah.
Vincent.
The tone of his yelling seemed less like, I know you're out here, this person whose name I happen to know,
But okay,
and
I
more
can I
familiar.
can buy that. Okay. We have some questions and quibbles, but these are just different reads on a certain situation. What I don't get is, and maybe this is me being too sentimental, too much of a softie in this way, but I thought the reveal was going to be because his brother looks meeker and he has like slicked black hair and like these, he looks different to the version we saw in the youth where he was like broad shouldered, a little bit more blonde and all
Yeah.
of this. I
Less
thought
jockey.
yeah, I thought his whole storyline was going to be he became a cop in the hopes of finding his brother Vincent
Oh, yeah,
and
like an inspirational thing.
connecting with him and having like a bonding thing. No, the reveal is actually he's here at the end hoping that when he does find Vincent, he can just show off that he's superior to him still.
Hmm.
And then they have a swim off, and then Ethan Hawke gives him like a little moral lesson, and I'm like, maybe I'm just wanting too much of the syrupy sweetness there, but I don't understand the angle for the brother just to be like, because he's in the movie a whole lot, that brother, and the reveal is held off as I said till near the very end,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the very end you just have to contend with he did all of this. The call out of Vincent was for what? For him to be like, Vincent, come here. I want to show you that I'm genetically superior to you still. I don't. I don't know. I didn't buy it
Yeah, it feels like we're misinterpreting the film, but that seems to be what the film's saying.
because they do the big swim thing, and then we don't really see him again after that either.
Yeah, yeah.
Ethan Hawke shows him up again, and then gives him a little lesson about the swimming back part.
Hmm. It was a good line, but I feel like it should have been somewhere earlier in the film.
That's the thing. Like the brother element either needs to be less in the movie, or it needs to be the heart of the movie. You know what? It has to be one or the other for me.
I remember when they finally did interact, in that main office room, and the Ethan Hawke character Vincent has the line about like, I wasn't the murderer, because we haven't mentioned this. The big crux of the film is that a murder happened to take place at this office, and
it's the inciting incident. Like, we never care about it. We didn't even know who the person was that got murdered. Like, we never met that character.
Yeah. The perpetrator, you eventually find out who it is. It doesn't matter. But Vincent genuinely has nothing to do with this murder. But the fact that this murder happened means there's a bunch of agents here, and that's, compromising to Vincent because, hey, they found a stray eyelash of Vincent's, and now because, there's an invalid here who's not meant to be here, he must be the perpetrator, and it's another discrimination.
The Hoovers are hoovering up his life. Like, they're picking at all of the seams of his fake existence, and they're going to find out what he's really, who he really is, and it'll all come apart.
Yeah, and so when they have this interaction, Vincent says to him, like, I wasn't the killer. I was the main suspect, but I wasn't the killer. And that feels like it should have been kind of a bigger moment.
I've made it past 30. That's something too that's mentioned. Yeah. Like, I've outlived and the brother recognizes that you've outlived our parents.
Yeah, our parents died thinking they outlived you. He's literally said that.
Yeah, and it feels like there's going to be something more there. And then he's like, you committed fraud, and I'm going to take you in unless I show off that I'm better than you. And I'm like, okay.
It felt like a very opportunistic thing. Like, yeah, I guess I was wrong, but you did this thing, so I'll hold that over you now.
I wanted it to be more of a redemptive arc on the brother, of realizing after he had lost in the past that perhaps he was unfair to his brother and that the system doesn't work in the way, or he becomes a cop in hopes of this and he discovers, or whatever the case may be, Hollywood hokum. And no, it's just, he's a jerk. And then we have to teach him again. The swimming thing, we have to teach him again. Okay. Like, I just left a little bit flummoxed by it, honestly. Because there's also an interesting angle of this guy is trying to unravel his life, and then the reveal it's a personal connection, somebody who actually, in quotation, cares about him, has a thing to it. But then that's also what Uma Thurman is doing. Uma Thurman is investigating him. Uma Thurman is uncovering things about him. Uma Thurman is getting to know him. And then after a certain while, she doesn't want to, reveal these things about him because she loves him. And we have the whole hair thing in which, it fell, the wind, all that's cute. So yeah, it's just too many pieces in here. But also I found the film pretty vacant in terms of just emotional character stuff. Like, I liked Jude Law, but I think that's mainly because his character's played by a very good actor, rather than I think he's a great character person. I think he's a fun character, but not he's the best to me because he's the most verbose character in the film, and Jude Law is just having the time of his life playing it. But then you have everyone else in the movie, and they're fairly muted. So, of course, he stands out because he's the most emotionally open character.
I liked how invested he was in the whole plot. Obviously, he has something to gain from it, but you could tell that he really grew to, care for Vincent.
Yeah, but there's also a recontextualization of he needs it to pan out because he wants to end his life with it having some ongoing legacy that he will never be able to fulfill himself. Horrible way to die, by the way, putting himself in the incinerator, because it's not like he drugged himself and knocked himself out. He just set himself on fire. Yeah, and we have the hard cut to the metal on his chest, but he
needed to look up at the sky. He couldn't do that if he was passed out.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
And hey, the fire made the metal look gold.
Did you love the symbolism to the nice hard cuts between the jet rocket going off and the incinerator going off?
Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah.
If they played that.
And then Skullface from Metal Gear 5 just says, "I'm burning up!" That's what they play over it for Jude Law. Is there anything else you want to say about Gattaca? I feel like I'm kind of rambling on because this is my first time, so I'm just kind of taking it in.
Honestly, it's been so long that I only had these couple of things that I really remembered.
Yeah.
It did feel kind of fresh in a way, but yeah. I don't know. again, I think that it's a good film, but I wouldn't really go that far past good. It works.
We haven't said the name of the film that's very key here, which is The Matrix. Comes out 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really washes away some of these 90s science fiction films that are looking at a dystopian future world in which you're crammed into an office cubicle having to pretend to be the 9 to 5 business person with the slicked hair and the tie. There are several of these. Johnny Mnemonic's another one where it's like, that literally has Keanu Reeves, but there's certain sci-fi films that came out in the mid to late 90s that do have a legacy, of course. Like Gattaca is still one of great note. People like Gattaca. But I feel like it doesn't have as big of an impact because you do have something like the big cultural zenith that is The Matrix, where everything that came out just before it and just after it is left in its shadow in a way. Because when I was watching this, I was thinking like, yeah, there's a lot of things that you would see something like The Matrix kind of tap into and kind of refine and do in their own way. And same with Johnny Mnemonic. We talked about that a little bit as well with that film, and we did like that more directly obvious, but like there are some of these films around this time that just Dark City is the one that I studied in high school instead of Gattaca, and that film is excellent, but it has a lot of same ideas and same messages and same visuals as The Matrix, but it came out before. But no one remembers Dark City in the same way they remember that. And I just was thinking about it when watching this. I was like, I wonder how this film would fare for how it would fare for some other people as well as myself without that. And people have to know I'm not a fan of The Matrix. I actually don't like it, which is a hot take for me. People get really upset when I say that. So don't think it's me being like, because I'm a Matrix fanboy, I'm saying this. No, it just cannot be denied that The Matrix is like a cultural touchstone of this time.
Smash hit.
Yeah. Like, do you have any opinions on that kind of thing?
Definitely this film isn't as big as The Matrix, but I think it has transcended, the obscurity factor simply because the theme of the film is pretty well known, and it's a thing that people refer to. Like, I was actually kind of surprised last episode when I said the valid thing, and you were like, "Oh no, I really don't know anything about this film." Like, I thought this would be the type of film that, like, most people who haven't seen it will at least know like the main idea. It's like, that's the film about like eugenics and stuff, right?
I did not know anything about Gattaca other than the title and who was in it.
I feel like this is one of those films that like people would point to. It's like whenever the topic of eugenics comes, like, oh yeah, like in Gattaca.
Yeah, and with Gattaca too, for me, again, someone who's new to it, and before meeting you and knowing people studied this, I thought Gattaca was a little bit more of a divisive film in a way, in which it's one where people, talk about the Wachowskis just a moment ago, like how some of the Wachowski movies can be, where there are people who are champions of it, and then time further proves to validate those type of movies. And Gattaca, for all of this stuff we're saying, it has a lot of like prescience. Every car in this was an electric car, for instance, I read, and that was considered at the time to be a novel idea, and there was some hubbub in the behind the scenes productions of it, of being like, why do we have to go for all of this effort for this idea? Like, that's not going to be a thing. Electric cars are a thing, and on we go. The whole idea of the genetic modifying stuff has been a huge dialogue in the world for a very long time, especially after this movie. So this does touch into a lot of things that, when you look at it and apply it to the real world context, there is so much there to really sink your teeth into and think about. It's not just the obvious social commentary. There are some of these science fiction concepts that you can spin out in a way to look at. A film that I would also, weirdly enough, compare this to in terms of like has influence. People may know of it. people may have reverence, but it has greater cultural impact than you may give it credit for, is Silent Running. The Silent Running is a very different, but it's that space it occupies. With Silent Running is in between that era of sci-fi of 2001 Space Odyssey and Star Wars, where sci-fi had to live in a very specific zone because of just the cultural zeitgeist were demanding it to be one way or the other. But Silent Running is like a hugely influential, and often you look at other science fiction movies and you can trace the direct impact of it. And I think Gattaca's somewhat the same as well, where, like I said, like this came out before The Matrix, and yet I can see a lot of the ideas, visual styles, the way that this discusses certain themes in stuff like Equilibrium, for example, or on and on we can go with some of these other movies that would come out in the late 90s and 2000s and onwards. So, yeah, although not for me, I do recommend Gattaca to people. Like I said, it's a mixed bag.
I would also recommend it, especially if you haven't seen it. It is very clear on, the types of things it wants to explore.
Very much so. Lots of weird casting people in there. Maya Rudolph,
was the quick scene.
Was the nurse? It was a nurse.
Nurse telling us the problems that Vincent's going to have.
And then I smiled. I was like, then she would be in Idiocracy. So there you go.
Yeah, a few years later.
Yeah, she would be the lead actress of Idiocracy. There's another dystopic future that she gets to be in. Great. Good for her. Just lots of... Oh, Tony Shalhoub as the sleazy criminal guy that gives him like the rundown of how all of the stuff works. I just had a big smile, like, oh, Tony Shalhoub, you little scamp. He's an interesting little character actor. But that is Gattaca. Now, Bartek, you and I both recommend this film, but for the next film discussion, one of us has to recommend it. Is it me or is it you?
Ryan, it was your turn last week.
So it's my turn again. I've been a good boy.
No.
No.
Ryan, you do not get to pick a French-speaking film that's sex-adjacent.
With one-word title.
Yeah. Instead, I will.
Yay! L again.
No, this one actually isn't a film from France.
Okay.
French is just the language that's spoken in it.
That's okay.
And I'm not following our theme of this year, which is films that came out in the past 10 years. This is an older film. This is from the 70s.
Oh, good.
I am picking the 1975 Senegalese film.
Okay, everyone.
It's from Senegal.
I've not had a Senegal film before.
Yeah, I know. You've been begging me to pick a Senegal film.
Put a gun against my head and point and give me a map and tell me to point at where it is. I would die.
I probably would too.
So?
It's somewhere around Niger. The film is called Xala.
Okay.
Xala. It's from 1975. It's in French and a language called Wolof.
Okay. Is this the one that you did at university?
It's from the same class as the one that I've indicated that I've been meaning to pick.
But it's another one. It's not that one.
It's not that one.
That was an African film?
Yes, this one is too.
Okay.
They're both Francophone African films.
And it's sex-related, so now I know that. You've given me more information than I was expecting, so there you go. Everyone make sure to check out that movie.
Xala
from 1975.
I found a copy of it on YouTube with English subtitles, so it should be accessible.
Yes. Fantastic.
Yeah. The other one too, actually.
Oh, wow. And you were brave not to pick it.
I think I need to rewatch that one before I decide to.
But Xala, you're willing to roll the dice on.
That one I haven't actually seen all the way through. I've only seen bits of it.
Okay. One, you're like, I've seen it, but I feel like I've talked about for years on the podcast. I feel like we need to really stew on it. This one that I haven't seen much of, I think is worthy. I love it.
It's one that I remember the premise of, and I know the ending of it. I'm like, I wonder what the full thing's like.
I wonder how they got there.
Yeah.
So everyone, make sure to check that out next time on the podcast. We will be talking about it, so make sure to give it a watch for yourself. But until then, Bartek, where can people find us and how can they recommend movies or let us know their thoughts on things we've discussed?
You can find us on the big www. We're on many websites, including Twitter/X, Spit and Polish Presents is the account name. We're also on Facebook, got a page there, also Spit and Polish Presents. We have a YouTube channel where we upload every single episode that we've ever done. Easy to find and listen to there. You might be on there right now listening to this.
Yeah.
And if you want to contact us, you can do it at any of the above, or you can even email us directly, which is in the description of every episode. It's spitandpolished@gmail.com.
Thank you all so much for being here and listening along. Remember to be kind to each other, or we will make you an invalid. Or as Bartek said for most of this episode, an invalid.
Yeah, they say invalid.